Before we dive into it, go ahead and take a second to, pause this and solve these problems. Or of course, if you have the notes, maybe you already have these solved. All right, let's dive into these solutions. Let's start with our first one. So converting 5 meters to kilometers. And so I'm going to set up what we know. So we have 5 meters. And then we can always go back to our reference chart here. So kilometers, right? We said it was 1 times 10 to the third by the base unit. And so, right, we can even set up our conversion factor first before we get started. So I know, right, there's 1,000 meters in 1 kilometer. So now I'll have to invert this, right? So we have meters on bottom, 1 kilometer on top. And then let me pull up my calculator here. And so if you want a link to this calculator, just let me know. Although I think you should be able to find it online. It's just a little virtual machine that I run. Quite handy. And then always good to practice your mental math. But I'll plug it in again just so we're all on the same page. So just multiplying across. So 5 divided by 1,000. So we should have 0.005 kilometers for our answer there. Looking at the next one, so I'll repeat the process. So write 3 grams. I want to convert to milligrams. We can always reference our chart. Milli, 1 times 10 to the negative third by our base unit. So now we're saying there's 1,000 milligrams in 1 gram. So now let's plug this conversion factor in. Notice how grams cancels out, leaving us with our desired unit of milligrams. And then this one's easy enough. I don't think we need the calculator. So then we get 3,000 milligrams. With our next one here, again, I'll set up our process, 7 meters. What we're starting with, centimeters. Let's go back. Look at our conversion factor. Okay, there's 100 centimeters in 1 meter. I'll use that. And it works how I've written it, right? 1 meter on bottom, 100 centimeters on top. Meters cancels out, leaving us with 700 centimeters. What about this next one? Do we have trouble with this one? Let's go through 2 different methods. And so I'm going to do what's called, I call it the 2-step method, but what kind of the issue is for some people is we don't have a direct conversion here right to our base unit. And so we have milligrams, we have kilograms. So we're looking at it, right? We have milli, 1 times 10 to the negative third, kilo, 1 times 10 to the third. What do we do with that? And so if you're not sure, I always say, right, let's go back to our base unit. So we can go from milligrams to grams, then to kilograms. So let's start off by this method. And so again, we'll go 60 milligrams. So we said milli was 1 times 10 to the negative third. So 1,000 milligrams in 1 gram. I'll have to flip that. So then I want 1 gram on top, 1,000 milligrams on bottom. Okay, so that brings us to grams. I'm going to wait to punch it all in. And then kilograms, we said was 1 times 10 to the third. So again, that means 1 kilogram, 1,000 grams. That's appropriate how I wrote it. All right, so now let's multiply this all across. And so now we have 60 divided by 1,000 divided by 1,000, which gives us 6 times 10 to the negative 5th kilograms. And so now what's our other way to do it? So again, this is, I'll call this 2-step. This is always a good method, right? But some people are good at seeing the direct conversion. And so I'll call this kind of our more direct 1-step. And don't feel intimidated if you don't see this, right? Some people like either get it right away or, you just need more time with metric practice. And so what I mean by this 1-step is we want to find the conversion between milligrams and kilograms. And so the easiest way to do this is to kind of examine the exponents. So, right, we have milligrams, we have kilograms. So milli was 1 times 10 to the negative third. Kilo was 1 times 10 to the third. And so what you can do is if you divide by the smallest, so we can do that in our calculator here. So that means 1. Notice how I use this little second E button. So 1 times 10, so that E means 1 times 10. So that's 1 times 10 to the third divided by 1. Notice my second E times 10 to the negative third now. And so that gives us a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, a 1 times 10 to the 6 factor between them. And so maybe you're already kind of seeing, oh, there's our 1 times 10 to the 6 right here. And again, practice your mental math skills. Now we can go back and look at this 2-step. Well, this was 1 times 10 to the third, multiplied by 1 times 10 to the third. So you can add exponents, right? So that gives you 1 times 10 to the 6. And then you always know, right, you have to have more little units than big units. So we can write that 1 kilogram is 1 times 10 to the 6 milligrams. So here's our direct conversion factor. And so now we can just directly write out. So we have 60 milligrams. I know that there are 1 times 10 to the 6 milligrams in 1 kilogram. And then that gives us the same answer. I can plug it in just so you believe me. Oh, 60. I was like, what did I do wrong? I had a typo. There we go. Now we have the same answer. So same answer. All right, we'll move on to the next one. Again, always contact me if you have any questions. And so let's do 2.5 meters to millimeters. I believe that one should be our usual 1-step. So millimeters, we said that they're 1,000 millimeters in 1 meter. So I'll put 1 meter on bottom, 1000 millimeters on top. Meters cancel. I'll just use my calculator so I don't get squirrely. Our decimals here. Oops, lost my mouse for a second. So 2.5 times 1000. So 2,500 millimeters. So now we have a centimeter to kilometer conversion. So again, we could have kind of the same sort of issue as before, right? Where we have, do we do a 1-step? Do we do a 2-step? And so again, I'll show both methods. So centimeter, 10 to the negative 2, kilometer, 10 to the third again. And let's just start off with our 2-step conversion. So we'll do centimeters to meters first. So there are 100 centimeters in 1 meter. Now we'll go from meters to kilometers. So there are 1,000 meters in 1 kilometer. So I think I'm starting to see a 10 to the 5th factor there. That's looking promising. Just doing a little mental math. And it's now divide. So divided by 100, divided by 1,000. Now we have 4.5 times 10 to the negative 4th kilometers for our 2-step. And then if we're interested in our 1-step conversion, let's do a little mental math. So 10 to the third divided by 10 to the negative 2. That means you subtract your exponents. So 3 minus minus 2 gives us 10 to the 5th. So there it is, our same conversion factor. So then we can just say there are 1 times 10 to the 5th centimeters in 1 kilometer. That's giving us our same answer of the negative 4th there. All right, last ones here. So we have 77 meters to decimeters. So there are 10 decimeters in 1 meter. So that gives us 770 decimeters. Now this, again, could be an odd one for some people. So we have deci. Again, 10 to the negative 1 milli. 10 to the negative 3. And so it depends how we're feeling, right? So maybe you want to do a 2-step conversion if that feels more comfortable, even though it almost seems silly, but you know, don't feel silly about it. Go to what unit makes more sense to you comfortably. So we could go decimeters to meters and then back to our small unit, or recognize, right, we have a 10 to the 2 factor between them. So again, right, we can divide by the smallest. So 1 times 10 to the negative 1 divided by 1 times 10 to the negative 3. We have a factor of 100 between them. So that means that there's 100 millimeters in 1 decimeter. So let's see if we get the same answer, depending on which method. So I'll start with our 2-step. Let me make it better, 30. So that's 37 decimeters. Now we're going to go to meters. So 1 meter on top. We said 10 decimeters on bottom. So there's 10 decimeters in a meter. Now we're at meters. And so we're going to take it. 1 meter is 1,000 millimeters. Meters cancels. I'm seeing my factor of 100 already, but I'll just punch it into the calculator normally. So now we have 37. I'm going to do divided by 10 and times 1,000. So now we get 3,700. And then, let's try our one-step conversion. Does it agree? So we have our factor here. So we said we had 100 factor. So 37 decimeters. Now we're going to go direct. So 1 decimeter is equal to 100 millimeters. And so then that gives us, we can do our mental math, 3700. So 3,700 once again. That worked out nicely through either method. All right, this last one is also pretty similar, right? And this could be one of those ones where you feel more comfortable because maybe you can look at a ruler. Well, I can easily see that there are 10 millimeters, right, in 1 centimeter. You could recognize centi is 10 to the negative 2, millimeters 10 to the negative 3. So again, factor of 10 difference between them. Or we can always take it, right, by our 2-step conversion. Again, even though it seems a little silly, we can do it, right? We're given by our base unit factors. We can always go to meters, back to millimeters. So let's do that first, and then we'll kind of check ourselves, right, with this easy logic here. And so now let's write out, so 0.002 centimeters over 1. And then I want to go to meters, so I'm going to put 100 centimeters are in 1 meter. And then millimeters, so 1 meter is 1,000 millimeters. I'm seeing my factor of 10 already, but again, I'll plug it in the calculator. So 0.002 centimeters divided by 100 times 1,000. So that gives us 0.02 millimeters. Looking promising, so we can just double check it with our one-step conversion. 0.002 centimeters over 1 times, we said 10 millimeters are in 1 centimeter. Centimeters cancels. Move our decimal over to get, yes, our same answer. Oops, if I would write the correct units. 0.02 millimeters there. So this is a good basis, right? So again, these were all metric centered practice, but towards the future, we'll be, of course, practicing and applying this with other units.